And this is the most awkward intro ever.
What's up, gamers? This is Jim from Just Push Play, Ottawa's video game web show, and I want to cover a game that's come to my attention called Lioness. Um, I love the approach that these guys have to developing this game. It's a rarity, I think, in the games industry these days, and they just pretty much summarize it up. They have established this is what we want to do with the game. This is the funding that we need, and we're going to get it done. And the cool thing is, they aren't trying to expand on the game with more money. And that's something I've been seeing, people try and add more features, or, the game's not even done and they want to add more features with more money. And, that's, I think, a dangerous game, especially in the video game industry where, the odds and the risks have increased significantly. Just in time, now it's very expensive to make a video game. And now that these indie guys are saying, this is what we're doing, you're sticking to the plan, we're bringing our A game, and it's really cool to see that because it's something that indie gamers um, may have more of a tendency to behave like. And I think, these big game companies need to have that sort of attitude, workmanship, you know, uh, the ability to definitely just stick to the game plan, get her done, and not try and make a game into something it's not. And that's, I think, something that's really cool to see. And I'll go into a bit more details about it in a second. So Zach Isles and Philip Lansbaum are producing this game, Lioness, and I don't want to misquote them, so I didn't want to write down like the long quote, but I think it's really a really cool quote, and it's really cool that what they're saying, and I just want to really promote, this sort of behavior because in the video game industry, there's that tendency to keep going and expanding on what people's original goals uh, were, and lose sight of making a good game. Instead of making a good game that does what it does, there's the tendency to make a game that does everything. And I think once people start throwing more money into a game, people sort of lose sight of what's important, and that is to make a good game. So let's go over the quote. Um, so the creators, they actually say, uh, we disagree with the idea that there's any direct correlation between quality and scope in a project like this, they wrote in a July 11th update. When you force a game or film past its own scope and design, it just begins to cannibalize its own narrative and vision by stretching until it breaks. So it's similar to what I just went over, um, but it's to use their quotes as experimental adventure game about human connection, end quote, where players control freelance journalist Egbert Kirby seeking information on 7 missing people. So it's kind of a wacky game. It sounds like a wacky game. There's a trailer. You can check it out. I'm not gonna post and post it, but I'll post a link at the end. That's what I can do for you. And so along the way, Kirby, the main character, it seems, befriends a nicotine-addicted cat and unravels a plot involving time travel, yakuza, and interdimensional coffee. Um, so the, they have another quote: "The more money we have, the better we can invest ourselves into pursuing our vision unencumbered." That date concludes. So they've raised $9,400 to date, and they have 23 days left in their funding period. The first episode they're hoping to have of Linus comes out by the end of 2014. So it's kind of far away, but congratulations, guys. I just want to give you props for that, and you know, just doing what you set out to do, and hopefully you stay true to that because I think a lot of game companies now, it's easy to get astray. They start seeing money, and some Kickstarters, they never go through. So good luck, guys. I hope you go through with that. And on to the next topic for today. So Valve's introduced this program called Pipeline, which is supposed to be a way to uh, guide high school students along into a career in video games, and I think that's really cool. This is related to the Royal Ontario Museum video that I did, just yesterday, it's really cool to see that there's going to be more support for the video game industry and more support for gamers. And I think this is how it's going to become like a more mainstream thing, and how it's going to be easier to get into the games industry. And in Ottawa in particular needs that sort of boost. And of course, that's why Just Push plays here, because we not only cover video games, we cover everything that's related to video games, comic books, anime, you name it, we're going to be there. You just contact us. We will gladly do everything for free for you. We're not in for the money, we're in to help the community. And, it's just great, when you see people that are doing things for passion. They're not doing it to build a studio per se. They're not trying to do it to make it a business and make it their day job. They're just doing it for the fun of it, and that's always cool. I love seeing that. Without ranting too long, I love going to the comic book shop. I love going to Toys on Fire. I love going to Silver Snail, and just seeing people, buying comics and doing all this stuff because they want to, because they're passionate, and not because, they're trying to ultimately, make it into their day job or otherwise. So props to everyone, in Ottawa for doing things for passion. And, I scorn on anyone that's trying to do it just for money. That's not cool. Passion before money, man. That's totally it. So, it's actually an experimental form right now. Uh, they say that they're going to take a group of high school students with very little work experience, relevant work experience in the video game industry, and train them in the skills and methods that are necessary to be successful at a business like Valve. So that's kind of cool. I just saw this yesterday, last night, very late last night, and again, Joystick covered it, but it doesn't seem like anyone else in Ottawa except for Just Push Play is actually interesting on jumping on this article and actually promoting it and letting more people be aware of it. And as I said, that's why we're here. So I'll post a link and you can check it out. And yeah, hopefully one of you guys will be in the video games industry one day. And if we helped, or that would be really flattering. And let me know. But anyone, anyone can jump on this. And we need to encourage more things like this, especially in Ottawa, since we're just starting to grow as a game, game industry. We've only got a mini game industry. There's a lot of cool people. I met a lot of cool people at Ottawa International Games Conference. And the more promotion, more promotion and publicity for these kind of events in Ottawa or elsewhere, the better. So make yourself loud, make yourself proud as Ottawa residents and as Canadians. That's what we need. We need to step up. All of us, you, me, everyone needs to make noise and tell our politicians and other people in positions of power, this is what we want. And we're not going to back down. This is what we want to see. So moving on. So some filmmakers, I'm not sure if you've been gaming for as long as I have, but maybe you remember the Power Glove, or maybe you don't. And it was a really cool idea that Nintendo came out with, and now people have been sprucing up like old Power Gloves and making, maybe adding rhinestones and other stuff. And you can control your Nintendo with your hand, and like they had a gaming pad and buttons on it. I never owned one myself. I did have a few people that I know owned them. I'm not sure how playable they made the games, or maybe that's something you can reply to later. But no, they're actually, the group of gamers are making a Power Glove documentary, and they're going to the regional designers, like the engineers, I believe. And it's really neat. It's being done by filmmakers Adam Ward, Andrew Austin, and Paula Kosowski. I mean, sorry. And they're talking about the creation and the impact of this video game peripheral, the Power Glove. So that's pretty cool. It's They're making the documentary. It's not out yet, unfortunately, and it's built upon interviews with Mattel hardware, software engineers, as I said, and everyone pretty much that was involved with the creation of the Power Glove. So And then people have who being influenced by the device as well. There's a musician, artist Yuda Sidebrain Ben Attar. Uh, Again, the film isn't actually out yet. They're still under production. They have no release date or method, but I think, again, more publicity to them, more power to them, for doing something cool, video game related, doing something a bit different. And I want to give them publicity, free publicity, at least in Ottawa. And as far as this video will eventually go in time, I just want to see that make this happen and see people get the props they deserve. So and Joystick seems to be excited about it, and there's some custom like Vita gloves in the trailer apparently. So I'll try and post a link to the trailer as well, alongside the Pipeline and the Lioness, trailers, and you can check it out yourself. You don't I let you know about it. I make you guys aware of this stuff in case you missed it, and then it's up to you guys to be awesome and check it out. So cool. On to the next. So, gamers, are you wondering why the Wii U seems to be lacking some games or, high resolution games? Well, actually, Nintendo Shigeru Miyamoto actually recently commented about, Nintendo not being really ready for high definition games. And I think this is kind of, the mistake the pothole that they put themselves in by not doing like by following the Wii, which was highly successful, from definitely from a monetary perspective, but it actually hurt them in the long run, in my opinion at least, because they didn't actually have the time and experience, to actually make high resolution games. So they got the money, but unfortunately now they're having to play catch up with, the Xbox 360 and the PS3 and soon to be the PS4 and eventually the Xbox One. Um, so I think this is kind of at least it's interesting they actually said, oops, maybe we did make a mistake. They didn't come out and say that, but I thought it was kind of cool to see this article. And it was with a Q&A, and when it comes to this is a quote, when it comes to the scale of software development, Wii U with high definition graphics requires about twice the human resources than before, end quote. Um, Starting quote, we may have underestimated the scale of this change, and as a result, the overall software development took more time than originally anticipated, just as we tried to polish the software at the completion phase of development. He also discussed, end quote, um, Pikmin 3, which will be out in August 4th in the same article, and the article that game was actually confirmed in 2008 for the original Wii before it was shifted to the Wii U. So obviously they had to like change things up a bit. Um, but they're trying to, at least now they've learned from their mistake. And in the another quote from the same Q&A, they're saying we are almost out of this phase. I mean, we are also trying to create something unique, utilizing an easier development approach called Nintendo Web Framework. Um, End quote. Nintendo Web Framework was actually announced at GDC this year. Allows developers to use HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS to create Wii U apps. So I think the Wii U is pretty easy to program for, from what I've read, since it's got the similar architecture as the Wii. So it sort of begs the question, like, I know that a lot of developers didn't get the sales that they wanted, which is unfortunate because the Wii U, um, try to do something different than just trying to go to like a higher resolution, which is a shame. And now Nintendo needs to definitely step up and realize that they need to uh, they need to court the developers like never before, in my opinion, because Nintendo, you're starting to see better games from Nintendo, but they're not learning from their mistakes, in my opinion. And Nintendo definitely needs to, because the stakes are getting higher and higher as there's more and more companies trying to come out with a game system, and Nvidia's throwing in their down the gauntlet. Valve is doing their Steam box. There's the Xbox One, obviously. There's the PlayStation 4. So, the stakes, as I said earlier, they're definitely going higher, and Nintendo, you know, they may go the way of Sega if they don't start smartening up. It's sad, but they've made other mistakes like Evo, which I'll talk about in another video, um, recently, that they can't afford to make, and it's they need to realize that their fan base uh, are, and also the other developers in particular are very important for their long-term survival. They can't just rely off of Mario Kart, 13 or whatever in the future. Uh, it will get them a fan base, but not the fan base as large as it needs to be. So do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to you know, reply with comments? I highly recommend it. Check out our Twitter account, or check out our other YouTube videos on Just Push Play. We've been prolific, so there's a lot. So I'm Jim from Just Push Play. Keep on gaming, guys. As always, it's been a pleasure. So take care.